Hello, you're watching Tulipswift. Today I'm going to give you a really quick review or opinion of Girls of Paper and Fire. I read this book as part of the booktube games, Go Team Neverland, and I actually finished it in time for the first challenge, so I got to double my pages. I really had no idea what this book was about, which was super fun. The book opens on this character named Lei or Lee. Her name is Lei Z. You find out her mother was taken from their village to the palace. The kingdom is like evil, and there's like these three castes of people: paper, steel, and moon. Moon being like full demon, so they have like animal parts and heads and stuff. Steel are like in between, and paper are just like human. The main character is paper caste, so she can't really do anything as a paper caste, but every year like 8 paper girls are sent to the palace to entertain the king. That was honestly like really dark. So the book was kind of like the selection, because these girls were taken from all around the kingdom to the palace, and they kind of had to compete with each other and do like lessons and stuff and dress up. But it was also really dark. They were basically just concubines for the king, which means like they just have to like sleep with him. They were all like really young. So the main character gets snatched up and taken away to the palace. Oh my gosh. And like they threaten her family, and it's just like so dark, and they kept like, it was never very explicit, so I thought like because we're reading like young adult, like maybe I'm wrong and maybe they literally just have to entertain him or something. Like I was so convinced that they weren't gonna sleep with him. The amount of detail that's left out, like so much is implied the entire book, because they just like won't explicitly say like what all these paper girls are in the palace to do. And so it was really weird, and like I was just like hoping, I was like, it's not what I think it is it? But then it was like very, very obvious. And the king calls for like one girl every night, and she never gets called. She ends up forming this really close bond with Ren, who's one of the other paper girls, and Ren has a secret, and honestly that's all I'm gonna tell you. That's all I'm gonna tell you. So she becomes friends with Aoki and Ren, and then there's like this mean girl Blue, and then like all the paper girls like have their own personality. It's like, hello, we're literally reading the selection, but that's fine. At first I was like so confused. Like everyone was so obsessed with the paper girls, and even the main character was like, I have to be a good paper girl, like maybe the king will call me, like maybe I'm good enough or whatever. I swear to God, if the king becomes the love interest, like I was not sure what was about to happen. So once I realized that this wasn't some like kinky sex land where like some girls are like chosen to sleep with the king and they're like the lucky ones, so it becomes really obvious that a lot of this was reminiscent of human trafficking. But even as I was thinking about that while reading it, I really couldn't find a clear connection, and I think I don't really have a grasp on like how that was related to it, only to that I guess it was inspired by it. What I really saw was the patriarchy in this. The paper girls at the bottom of the cast, so lucky, and they were all brought up and taken care of, and like they had to get like makeovers and beauty lessons and all these things. So I really saw that as like a woman's place, and a man's place is like sitting on top of the whole kingdom, and like their fathers like brought them into the paper girls like selection process, and all of that was just so reminiscent of misogyny. So it was really hard for me to like analyze this entire like weird situation, but I'm just so curious about it, and there's just like so many things that I want to like write like a paper on, so I couldn't really break it down completely, but I'm curious what you guys thought. So let's talk about some crazy spoilers. I was so curious who she was gonna fall in love with. She does become really close with Ren, and then I was like, oh, this is obvious, they're falling in love. What I didn't see coming is Ren is literally Selena Sardothian, and she's being trained behind the scenes, and she sneaks out. She was like since birth like trained and put in position to kill the king and take back the empire. Our main character Lei is like Lee, whatever, has so much personality and so much like everything, but like her position in the universe is just kind of so helpless. When you find out where Ren is, it's just kind of like, whoa, like we're gonna do this, like we're gonna take back the kingdom. And that was really cool. I really felt so Throne of Glass with like the training going on, and I don't remember her friend's name, but Ren's like other partner, who's like a moon cast, and they're like training and he's like a total big brother. Like I felt like that was so like Sarah J Maas, like hello, like especially like with all the weird animal parts, like that's literally Sarah J Maas. The plan goes all wrong at the last minute, which was so annoying. But like when Ren isn't in the kingdom, they're like, oh, it's okay, like Lei, like you're gonna have to do it, you're gonna have to kill him. And I'm just like, Ren trained her whole life, no offense, but like Lee, like you can't fucking do it. Like you learn how to like punch people sometimes, but like that goes wrong too because the king totally knows it's gonna happen. And I'm just like, this plan is going so wrong. It was really stressful. And then she does end up killing him, or so we thought. Like after the credits, like last page, is that the king is still alive. And I was talking to my friends about this. It's like impossible that he's still alive. So we think that Naja traded like one life for another or whatever. I think it was perfectly fine, honestly, if the book just took Naja as like the new antagonist into the next book, because there's obviously going to be a next book, because I didn't like the king and he wasn't that exciting and he was just really creepy, and I really like the idea of like Naja taking over, whatever, the king's back, whatever. But what's really cool at the end of the book is that Ren and Lee are at the campsite or whatever for the rebels. Like I think that you find like Ren's brother there or something. I don't know, it was really cool. It just sucks because they were like, if everyone stays loyal to the king, or if we can't kill him, then we're gonna have a war because we can't just take back the palace, like it's gonna be a war. And so then I was like, oh my god, we're having a war and we're only in book 2, like that's so annoying. So whatever, I mean, I'm gonna read the second book and I'm pretty excited, but it was just really frustrating because I wanted everything to go right, but everything went wrong as usual. So that's really all I have to say about this book. It was really good. It was crazy. It feels so dark for YA, like even for YA. What's the next book called? When's it coming out? I'm so excited. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. I love you. Bye.